You wouldn't diagnose yourself on WebMD and skip the doctor, would you? So why are you trusting an AI chatbot to price your home or to tell you what offer to make on one without getting a real person involved? Someone like me. Today, I want to talk about something that I'm seeing pretty consistently right now, and it's honestly, I think, going to keep happening, and it's going to cost some real money. Hi, I'm Kristin Borostyan. I'm a realtor here in Northern Virginia and soon to be Richmond. And I specialize in helping home sellers figure out how to position their home by telling them what to fix, what to skip, and price it correctly so buyers show up excited and ready to write offers. And today I want to talk about something that I'm hearing more and more about, and I think it's going to become a little bit of an issue. And I think it's only going to get bigger until we really understand it. So right now, people are using AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever you want to call it, on their phone, on their computer. They're typing in a few details about their home. They hit enter and they walk away with a number from their sheet and in their head. It's their new listing price or an offer amount they want to make on a house. And they're treating it like it came from an expert, just like they do with Zillow. No, no, no. I am here to tell you that math ain't math. And I've seen firsthand what happens when people trust that number over someone who actually knows the market and works in the industry. Let me tell you about a seller I had an interaction with recently. He came to me having already done quite a bit of work on an inherited house. Then he did his research. He put his home details into some AI tool. I don't know which one he used. And he had some information about, what the house should probably be listed for based on what he put into the prompt. And the AI, whatever he used, the AI, I'll just call it, came back and told him that the house was somewhere worth, they should list the house for somewhere in the $650,000 price point. And he was thrilled. Honestly, it felt good to him. He's like, yes, this is the type of price I want. And who doesn't want to really hear that their home is worth more than maybe they were originally thinking, or they wanted to confirm what they thought all along? But when I pulled the comps for that specific neighborhood, when I walked through the home in person and I looked at what had actually been completed versus what the market was rewarding buyers for, the number I came back with was closer to that $560,000 mark. That is a huge difference in what I'm seeing and what I'm recommending versus what my seller saw online. So, of course, he pushed back. He did not want to believe what I was telling him because he had seen these numbers. And I get it. I understand it. It's an emotional thing. You've put time and money into this house. You want to believe that you put the information in and the number that AI said felt like the number that you wanted to list the house for. So he decided to list at that number. And I had to back out at that point saying, look, I think that's unrealistic in your neighborhood, in our market. And I told him, I cannot overprice your home based on what AI is recommending. And I also am a little concerned that it won't appraise on the other side either. So I went and looked up that home the other day and it was 51 days on the market. No offers, nothing happening. Oh, that's hard to take. But that is the hard truth about days on market. Every day that number goes up, buyers start wondering what might be wrong with this property. Why isn't there an offer on it? It becomes a red flag. Even if you eventually drop that price to where it should have been maybe from the start, or maybe just even coming down from where you're at, you've lost momentum, you've lost urgency, and you may have scared off the exact buyers who would have moved pretty quickly at the right price. And now you may have even missed out on multiple offers with very interested buyers because you had the wrong price. So why did AI get it so wrong? What happened? Why was AI so much higher than me? Well, there's a few things that can happen. First, when you put something into these AI, you only know what the seller is feeding it, right? So if the seller described their home very generously and wrote all of these things in about the house and the neighborhood, AI took it at face value. It has no way of verifying it. AI is not walking through the house. It doesn't know what the finishings are like. It doesn't know that the basement wasn't up to the buyer's ideal finished basement. It doesn't know that your kitchen update that you're proud of, but has builder grade finishes that buyers in that price point might not want. They might not want to pay that. And second, and this is a big one, AI does not understand neighborhood level pricing in Fairfax County or Prince William County or any other county like that. It might understand the greater Northern Virginia market and that it's strong. It might even understand Fairfax County broadly, but it cannot specifically dive into your neighborhood and understand what's going on there. It doesn't know that the highest home sold on that street went for this, but it was in this condition, in this condition, and buyers aren't going to go above that number without it being in that condition, right? There's things that have to happen for that buyer to make that offer. The neighborhood where this home was in was not a typical suburban neighborhood where comps are easy to come by. And the homes around it, were singleton homes, and some of them were move-in ready and some needed to have a little bit more love there. So the neighborhood kind of had a mix, and that's hard for AI to understand. And even I had to do a lot of digging and understanding to get to the number that I got to and justify it, right? And I know this, because I work here, I learn about each neighborhood that I'm taking a listing from, and I'm understanding the nuances of that area because I'm here. I talk to agents who are bringing buyers through. So I know what buyers are saying as they walk through a house and what they're kind of comparing that to in the neighborhood. AI doesn't know any of this. So let me walk you through what actually happens when I work with a seller on pricing, because I think this is important to understand now that we're all using ChatGPT, and understanding why it is super important to work with a realtor who is a local expert versus what you're getting from a chatbot. It all starts before we even talk price. So the first thing that I do is I sit down with you. We have a real conversation about why you're selling, what your goals are. What's your timeline look like? What are you hoping to net? Are you going to buy something else, or is that already been purchased? All of these little things when you're getting ready to list matters, because a pricing strategy for your home isn't a one size fits all. It has to be tailored to you and what you need. A seller who needs to move very quickly has a very different strategy than someone who can afford to wait a few weeks for the right offer. Then I go through and I walk your home in person. There's no photos, there's no virtual tour. I'm physically there. I'm looking at the condition of your home, the finishes you've put in, any updates that you've made, and I'm asking questions. I'm thinking about the home the way a buyer would when they walk through your home, because that's what matters. We've got to get into the buyer's psychology. Buyers make an emotional decision, then they justify those decisions with logic, i.e., what they're going to offer the price to be. I know what it's going to take to make them feel great about your home at that particular price, and then what's going to give them maybe some ammunition to negotiate down if those things aren't done. Then I pull the comps, and I want to be clear about what this means. I don't just look at a zip code and say, okay, what's sold here recently, add it up and come to some kind of median price. I'm looking at your specific neighborhood, homes that are actually comparable in size, in condition, and updates. I'm looking at list price versus like where it's sold. Is there a difference? I'm looking at how many days on the market before it went under contract. I'm looking at if there were some price reductions and what does that look like? All of that tells a story about where the market is and where it's actually going, and then what buyers are actually willing to pay in that specific neighborhood. I also get on the phone and I talk to other agents. This is something that no ChatGPT can do yet. I have conversations with agents who are either actively selling or buying in that neighborhood. What is their perspective? What are the buyers saying at either the open house or when they walk through the house? And is there something that they're not loving? That real-time information shapes my pricing recommendation in a way that no algorithm can replicate. Then I bring that all to you when we sit down. Not just some number in a zip code, but the reasoning behind it. So you understand why I'm recommending what I'm recommending. Because when you understand the strategy, You trust the process. When you trust the process, you don't second guess it. And you don't second guess it when AI tells you something different because you can see the rationale I'm giving you. I want to be clear. I am not anti-technology. I love AI tools and I think they are genuinely going to be helpful and useful for all of us. I use it, but I use it very specifically and I prompt it very well to get the data out that I need and I want to present to any seller or buyer. You, as the consumer, as the seller or buyer, can use it to understand your market, the market trends, and do your initial research just like you do with Google. But here's the difference between using AI as a starting point and using it as your final determining list price or outcome. Pricing your home is one of the most consequential financial decisions that you're ever going to make. It's high stakes, right? You get it wrong when you overprice or you're sitting on the market, you are losing leverage and eventually selling for less than you would have if you priced it right from day one. Here's what's very interesting. The old days of putting a price on a house and then negotiating from that price is not happening. Sellers think that's happening, buyers no different. Buyers see the list price and they think that's what the seller wants. And then they make their decision from there. Do I offer or do I walk? The consequences for not working with a person who understands that and can articulate that to you and justify it can have real consequences when your home goes on the market. That other seller with no offer in sight and they're just waiting for the right buyer to make an offer, they've lost so much time. They are going to get a lower offer than they originally wanted. That's just going to happen. And here's the other thing. They kind of feel like they're not making the money that they thought they would, all based on what the chatbot told them. So I started off saying, would you trust WebMD for a diagnosis? So let's go back to that doctor analogy to kind of understand what I'm talking about here. You can spend all the time you want on all the sites, WebMD, Googling, whatever. You can read through every article, plug in every symptom, come up with your own diagnosis. But at some point, you need to sit down with a human being, someone who went to school for this, who does this every day, who actually is seeing what you're dealing with, can diagnose it, and then knows how to treat it. That's what a great realtor does. That's what I do. I'm not just someone who's going to put some numbers in something and come to you and be like, this is our strategy, right? I'm not just going to put a sign in your yard and be like, okay, that's marketing. I am someone who has real market knowledge, real relationships, real experience. AI cannot replicate that, just can't. So if this resonates with you and you're using, ChatGPT to figure out, where you should list, what you should do, let's talk. Whether you have 9 days or 90, I want to have this conversation. I have real conversations with people all the time, and I want to understand your home, your neighborhood, and what the market actually looks like right now. Because the earlier we start this conversation, the more information you have, the better position you're going to be in when it's time to list. My contact information is in the description below if you ever want to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. And if you're in this process, let's figure out what your home is actually worth and let's do it together. Let's bounce the ideas off together. It's a dialogue. And before we go, if you are willing to share, if you have ChatGPT'd your home to find out what it's worth, do you think it's correct? Would you actually buy your home at that price? If you would leave a quick comment so we can hear what's happening with this in this market, I'd be so curious. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.